Hello, everybody. This is Parrish Alford with the Daily Journal, and I am joined by Logan Lowery, our Mississippi State beat writer. We're going to talk some spring football. Logan, how are you, man?
Well, I'm not really a morning person, so this is early for me, even though it's 9:30. I mean, most people have been at work for an hour and a half or even longer, but it's early for me.
Well, Logan, looks like we got it. There we go. I was going to say I didn't see you, but you're back. Hey, before we get into football, man, I know that you and I have not had a chance to talk very much since baseball warm-up top gate. Tell me a little bit about that day. I know we've texted a little bit back and forth, and the big question is what, if anything, did Mississippi State know in advance? What's your take on what happened that day?
It was really strange. I mean, we were just invited out. I think it was Thursday to talk to John Cohen and a couple of the players leading into the Florida series. Well, half the team was out there on the field, taking BP and all the normal practice stuff, and then half the team was still in the locker room. Well, the team that was still in the locker room came out with those awful looking shirts, and it wasn't just the shirts. They actually had leggings in that same design and had spikes in that same design. So they came out, and we were just taking pictures of them because they were just so hideous. And it wasn't until after the fact that we realized what was embedded in some of the designs and everything. And based on the reaction by the players, I really don't think that. I think a shipment came in during practice, and half the team got the stuff and half the team didn't. So the team that had the later practice, put on the new gear, and I don't think it was really checked or anything like that. And based on just the reaction from John Cohen and Scott Strickland, some of the administration, I really think that they were in the dark on this whole deal. I'm not naive enough to think that somebody at Mississippi State didn't know that what was embedded in there, but I don't think it was any of the higher ups, like Scott Strickland as the athletic director, John Cohen as the head coach, and I really don't think the players probably knew too much about it. I mean, I'm assuming they just get free stuff all the time and probably just throw it on and go about their business. So I don't think anybody was trying to show off however you want to say it. I don't guess we could really say that word on our little show here, but I don't think they were trying to show off that part of it. But it's just one of those things. I don't know how that slipped through Adidas. I don't know how that slipped through and made it into the actual print of the T-shirt. But it definitely got a few clicks and it made a few headlines last week.
Well, you know what? It is hard to believe, and of course, there are conspiracy theorists on both sides of this rivalry, and it is. I'll give them some credit here. It is hard to believe that nobody knew anything. I don't believe that the higher ups knew. I don't believe John Cohen knew Scott Strickland. I don't believe that you voluntarily inflict this kind of PR on yourself. And I'm like you. I just have this mental picture of like new gear coming into the locker room like all the time. Like this is probably not that big a deal. Maybe the box opens and an equipment manager or someone of the sort starts passing out shirts without even looking. Hey guys, new stuff, come get it, y'all. Yeah, I could see something like that. I also could see maybe maybe a mid-level employee who looked at the shirts, maybe did see it, maybe did know about it in advance and thought, hey, this is really funny, and just kind of passed out the shirts without telling anyone, maybe not knowing that reporters were on the other side of the door, outside the locker room, out on the infield getting ready for interviews, maybe not knowing that, and maybe would have thought differently then. But I don't think you voluntarily inflict this sort of damage on yourself from a PR standpoint. I go back to the newspaper business, Logan. I kind of equate it to this. All of us who have worked in newspaper, who have been around the paper when you've been laying it out, whether that was paste up back in the day or the new era with pagination and everything online. You know that a story comes through the newsroom. It's funny in whatever way, and all of a sudden people are writing funny headlines and they're doing this and that. And And this is an example of why you don't ever do that, because it would get in the paper. It would get in the paper. And all of us around newspaper, Logan, I'm sure you do too, have a story of something that got in the paper like this. Well, this is Adidas' story of something that got in the paper. At the very least, it shows that some probably mid-level employee at Adidas is in touch with the lingo of the rivalry of his client. But it's an egregious error to let that get put on a shirt and reach the level that it did.
I agree. And, we haven't found out, exactly who the culprits were in this whole deal. And, I do know that it definitely strained the relationship between Adidas and Mississippi State. They signed a 7-year contract with Adidas last year, and Scott Strickland is not happy in right now, with this egregious error that they've made. So we'll have to see if they stick with it. Last year when they made the
Well, Logan, looks like you have frozen up there. At least you've frozen up in a nice pose. Let's wait just a second and see if Logan comes back to us. Let's see if he's got anything to say. Texting to me. While we're here waiting on Logan, folks, we'll tell you that Ole Miss is in town, is in Tupelo today with the Rebel Road Trip. I'll be out there as soon as I finish with Logan here, which may be sooner than I originally thought. We're having some technical difficulties here. Logan says the internet has crashed, and I'm on the way back to you. So we're going to hang out here for a second and see if Logan's internet improves, and when he comes back, he'll tell you about some poor internet service that he has in Starkville. I feel quite certain. So we'll see. In the meantime, Ole Miss will be in town here at 11:30 for the Rebel Road Trip. I had a column in today's Daily Journal talking about this road trip and what an important time this is, as Ross Bjork, Hugh Freeze, and other members of the Ole Miss athletic family make these trips from community to community and talk about unity. And it's a different day for that right now, with the transition coming at the highest position at the university, at Chancellor. So a very important time, to be on the road, meeting with your people, meeting with your contributors. And that was in today's Daily Journal. Looks like Logan is back with us. Logan, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, Parrish. If you've ever seen me tweeting about my internet service here, that's why. It goes in and out the entire day. It's very, very frustrating.
Logan, I predicted, man, that when you came back, you would talk to us about poor internet service. Tell us who that provider is so people can stay away from them.
That is Max South, formerly known as MetroCast, here in the Starkville, greater Oktibbeha County area.
Well, folks, if you're in the Golden Triangle down there and you have an option, you don't want to choose Max South, because we have had this from time to time with Logan. But he's back now, and let's get into some spring football. Logan, looks like quarterback competitions at both places in different ways. Ole Miss is looking for a starter, and I'm getting our timer going again. Ole Miss is looking for a starter with Chad Kelly, the troubled junior college transfer coming in, had a good spring. Did not leave spring as the leader. There was nobody really out front and about to claim the job, but Ryan Buchanan, according to Ole Miss coach Hugh Freeze, was a little bit ahead, and he said he would name Buchanan as the leader by the thinnest of margins. Mississippi State, it's not been about the race for number one, but the race for number two. What's going on behind Dak Prescott?
Well, you're right, Parrish. It is the race to see who's going to be the backup quarterback at Mississippi State. The problem was this spring, only one guy had a shot at it, and that's Nick Fitzgerald. He was the only fully healthy quarterback that they had behind Dak Prescott. And Elijah Staley had knee surgery back in December. He had a full leg brace and was able to throw the ball. He actually threw the ball in a lot of the quarterback drills, but he did not scrimmage at all. Damian Williams, I think he had 2 practices the entire spring. He didn't scrimmage at all. And Damian Williams has been the backup for Dak Prescott the last 2 seasons, so you would think he would have the leg up as a true junior. But he's getting really pushed by Nick Fitzgerald, who actually enrolled 2 Decembers ago. He's a redshirt freshman, but this was actually a second spring to go through. And he had a really good spring game. Had a couple interceptions, but he also had a couple of touchdowns and also ran in for a score. And he was tit for tat with Dak Prescott, numbers wise, in all 3 of the scrimmages that they had this spring. So he's definitely going to give Damian Williams a run for his money, when fall camp arrives and Damian's able to compete in that race. And I wouldn't rule Elijah Staley out either. I mean, he's 6'6", he's a southpaw. He plays basketball for Mississippi State too. So, that tells you what type of athlete, he is. But
Logan, you kind of left us in mid-sentence there, man. Folks, we're just going to we'll wait a little bit on Logan and see if he can reconnect quickly. But we're going to see if Logan can maybe come back later with a little more internet consistency. Logan, we're going to hang out just a second here. I was talking about the Rebel road trip earlier. It is a big time for Ole Miss because of the transition coming at Chancellor. Big time for the Rebels to be out meeting people right now, for Ross Bjork to kind of take the lead in that conversation. He told me 2 weeks ago that during all of the drama between Dan Jones and the college board, the state college board, that he, as athletics director, and his officers in the foundation were remaining engaged with donors and key contributors, really trying to maintain the calm and stability that has been around Ole Miss fundraising right now. And this is an important time in terms of projects that are ongoing with the arena and projects that are right around the corner. The bowling in of the north end zone of Vaught-Hemingway Stadium that has been something Ole Miss fans have wanted for years, to bring some consistency to that venue. And just think about what that stadium has looked like through the years, going from 2 open ends and temporary bleachers on each side and no upper deck and no lights years ago to, a really nice upper deck and suites on the east side, Rebel Club. And then in 2002, the bowling in of the south end zone and the creation of the south zone. All that's left to complete the bowled in stadium is the bowling in of the north end zone. Right now, that work is scheduled to begin right after the completion of this football season. As soon as that last home game is complete, that work is scheduled to begin. So, it's an important time for the Rebel road trip, for Bjork and others to continue to bring that message home to Ole Miss fans. Right now, there's about $132 million contributed in cash and pledges to the Forward Together campaign. The goal of this campaign that launched back in the summer of 2011 was $150 million, and Bjork believes that they can reach that goal by the end of this calendar year. Let's see what Logan has to say here. Okay, he says he's frustrated. Okay, gotcha. Internet crashed on the way back. Folks, we're gonna leave it there. We're gonna come back when Logan can do a little bit better with his internet, and we'll have some more spring football talk for you at another time. Thanks for being with us.